From the liberal Northeast comes a lone voice of truth. Honest commentary in dishonest times. Think deeper with Juan Newsom. This is the Cure Radio Program. This is the Cure.
Hello. This is Juan. I'm here with Cathy, and America is burning. Cat, what is going on out here?
Ooh, it's getting hot. But not just because of the sun here in Atlanta, but the crazy riots and the blazes being set off all across the nation. How insane can we say? We went from quarantine to full-on rioting.
Yeah. Are they social distancing out there, Cat? Because at first, remember, now these are liberals, these are the wizards of smarts. They're saying that we can't be in certain areas together. We have to social distance. We have to wear masks. But the rioters are really very, very, very close. So which is it, Cat?
I think that coronavirus got so scared of all of the upheaval that it totally disappeared. You are now safe to come out your home. But wait, there's riots. Don't come out. Stand down.
But what in the hell happened in Minnesota, man, with this cop and George Floyd? I mean, and now you have Minnesota is burning. I mean, they burnt down Minnesota. They laid waste to the city. A lot of small businesses are in flames, and you have the police station. They destroyed the police station.
Well, that was really the problem, right? You can riot. I mean, you can protest, but the second that it turned into rioting and there was no response, there was no police presence, there was no authority clamping down on all of the chaos, they allowed it to brew and brew. It was 4 days. We're like on day 7 here. It was 4 days before the governor stepped in to say anything, and that the National Guard was called on. But then they told the National Guard that they couldn't do anything. So you have ineffective management from the mayor, from the city level, and all the way to the governor. And they just don't even know how to handle their own civilians. They don't know how to protect themselves. And then they give up the police department. That was what set it off across the rest of the country. There's no way that you give up a stronghold like a police department, you cut and run, you abandon your citizens, you abandon your firefighters, your EMS workers, you abandon all those people. The police is the line of defense when chaos breaks out. If you leave, what do we resort to?
I don't even want to hear anybody talk about gun control ever again.
Never. Mm-mm.
Because you have cities around the country that are burning. Don't ask me why I need an AR-15. This is why I need a damn AR-15. Because
absolutely,
if the police are going to cut and run in these liberal cities, then law-abiding citizens need something to protect themselves with, whether it's an AR-15, an AK-47, or whatever.
Absolutely. And not only just these riots that are showing us that, even during COVID, right? We were locked down and the police were not responding to anything outside of domestic violence situations because they didn't want to get into a scenario where they may get infected, because a lot of the first responders and a lot of the cops did get sick and a lot of cops did die. And I personally know an officer who did pass away from COVID while he was on duty.
Wow.
So that was really real. You know, it was like, unless it is life and death, and typically it was the domestic violence and abuse calls that they went out for, they were not responding, period.
Yeah.
So now you have a police force that was inundated by a disease, the invisible enemy, And now you have them with stand down orders from inept government officials, the mayor mostly, um, who wants to save face and be non combative with a certain segment of the population, not to be seen as, inflaming race riots and relations. And you totally put the squash on your first line of defense?
These are the same politicians that declare that they're on your side during election time.
No
These are the
way.
same politicians. These are the same, especially damn Democrats. Now, I'm not going to give Republicans an excuse, but in these, notice how most of this carnage is happening in these damn liberal cities. Okay,
Because they're weak. They're
I'm going to
weak. They're
point that out.
ineffective. They have zero management skills. They don't know how to run their city, let alone protect their citizens. They don't understand the gravity of the situation that's happening around them, which is why they allow the police department to cut and run when at the pinnacle of violence, of civil unrest. That is when the police need to go in there.
That's when they
That
need
is
you the most. That's when we
exactly.
need you the most. This is basically what you're getting paid for.
No, now these same liberal cities, they have the police department and chasing after people because they're not properly wearing their masks. They have police departments policing beaches and arresting surfers. They have police departments that are going around telling people giving citations. Why are you in the streets? Why are you in the parks? You'll
You can't
chase
open your
after.
business.
Exactly. You'll chase after the business owner, the salon owner, the person trying to go to the gym, the moms in the park with their kids trying to, have a family time in total isolation. You'll chase after those people, but you won't defend your own police precinct against thugs, rioters who are damaging property, not just the precinct, but all the stores and businesses that have been closed that were suffering already through the quarantine. They in that situation, I totally see the cops as thugs. You
Yeah.
chase after me, somebody who's a law-abiding citizen that's just trying to live a little bit better life under these terrible circumstances, but you don't chase after the people who are legit trying to kill you and burn stuff down.
Yep. Yep.
Get out of
I
here. Replace
I
them all, Juan. Replace them all. Start from
I'm
the top.
telling you. And there's another wrinkle to this.
Uh-oh.
And I've been looking at some of these videos online. There are a lot of these Antifa like figures around these riots. I saw a video of a man, white man, tall white man, dressed in all black, had like a hood on, he had a mask on, like one of those gas masks, and he had an umbrella on his head.
Mm-hmm.
He had a hammer in his hand and he was smashing out the windows of a Wendy's.
Mm-hmm.
I saw another video. I believe it was on Tucker Carlson. There was a guy just standing there waiting to do something. He had all black on, a black book bag. He had a hammer in hand. So somebody's paying. Somebody is paying for these guys to be there.
Definitely.
This
You
is
do
this
not
is
listen.
coordinated.
Listen, you know how hard it is to mobilize a get out the vote effort in these communities?
Yep.
Meanwhile, instantaneously, they were able to get these people coordinated that at a certain time in certain places, they're doing certain movements. They have handlers. They have people who are calling out, what's the next step? Where's the next place? They're on walkie-talkies, earpieces. This is coordinated. They have planned this for years. And I am sure that a lot of these protesters, like real protesters, see that this is not part of their protest.
Then you have some of the protesters trying to fight some of the rioters too and get
Yeah,
them.
definitely.
So it.
I watched a video of in Minnesota, right? And
Mhm.
the guy who was protesting, black guy, Watch the white guy with the black outfit, with the umbrella in his hand, with the hammer in the other hand,
Yep, I saw that one.
popping out the auto zone. That was the first location that was set on fire.
Wow,
He was
I
popping
saw
out the
that one.
auto zone, and the guy was chasing him down. Like, what are you doing? Why are you destroying this business? We're here to protest, to talk about this life that was taken, to talk about injustices. What are you doing here? And the guy got chased down and out of the
Yeah, they
area
chased him away. Yep.
by the protesters, but it didn't matter. That was their call to action. They had set things in motion, and it was under the mask of the protesters. So now you got all these crazy white anarchists who are out here actually being the ones destroying things, and
Yep.
having these idiot minorities in front of these flaming businesses taking selfie shots. This is Instagram rioters. This is
Yeah.
not real. They don't
Yeah.
care
Yeah.
about George Floyd. They don't care about him. They don't even know his name,
And
you
they're
know?
ransacking businesses,
Well,
even
that's
after.
just the opportunist. They'll always do
Yeah,
that.
they're ransacking businesses. I mean, this is really crazy. People, think about it, Kat. You're a business owner. It takes time to open a business, to plan all of the missteps, all of the false starts,
The
the
investment you put
investment,
in.
saving up your money to buy your products or whatever. You have false starts, you get cold feet. Think about all of that. You put all of that into your business, and somebody comes here in a matter of a few hours and just destroys it because
Well,
of the
think
George
of,
Floyd
you
incident.
didn't even mention the overhead that they have to
Oh
pay,
yeah.
the employees, the
Yep.
health insurance, the families that these businesses are trying to support. They took out PPP loans just trying to continue having paychecks for people that worked in their companies. Now what? Now
Now
what?
now Congress has to pass another relief probably because rioting and acts of war and terrorism are not really covered under a lot of policies. Now you might have some smart business owners that um, see it as a possibility, and they go in and they get like some type of extended coverage, but even that's going to be very expensive. But policies typically do not cover these incidents. So now you're going to have the states, and you're going to have the US Congress and the president have to probably give them some type of relief so that these communities don't go completely under.
Oh, I think it's too late. I think in some of these areas, they've destroyed, especially that one area in Minneapolis that we were looking at, they've
Mhm.
destroyed so much of the property, so much of the businesses, so much of the areas that nobody who is going to want to rebuild to service that area. Who?
Yeah.
There is no way that if I were a business owner, having gone through 3 months of quarantine, losing business, spending money, taking out loans, trying to figure out how to keep everything together, and then this happens, I would see it as a sign from God. You know what? This is just not the purpose for you. Pack it up, cut your losses,
Move to
and
somewhere else.
move somewhere else and start over, because it would be so much easier to start over in another location than it would to rebuild
That's
in what's
true.
been destroyed.
That's very true.
These areas, all of these areas that were targeted, they're going to take at least a decade to rebuild, if that.
Yeah, if they rebuild.
And then what happens to the families that lived right outside that Target that relied on that location? Like, I live in a really rural area right now. This is not like
Mhm.
New York City where you could just walk a few other blocks and go to a different store. So
Mhm.
I have a main area, a main Walmart, a main Aldi's, a main Publix. If those locations were to get burnt down, I'd have to drive like 20 miles to the next spot.
Wow.
Literally 20 miles to the next spot. I'm already, as it is, let's say about 10 minutes from the closest location, the Publix.
Mhm.
Walmart is already a 15-minute drive away. The
Mhm.
next one over is the next town over, which is 25 minutes away,
Mhm.
just to get to a local store to buy food. What are
Wow.
these people going to do?
Wow.
It's insane. And what do you think of what was going on in DC with the Secret Service. I mean,
Oh yeah. They were having obviously an alarm was set there. They put Trump in the bunker. Damn.
because they broke through some kind of barricade and it was so unexpected, they said that they took the Secret Service off guard.
Yeah.
So they went into emergency mode to figure out what was going on. And
Yeah.
then they realized they had, these protesters and rioters right outside. But I think that this thing has lasted so long, like far too long. One night, a few hours, okay. You didn't know it was coming. Now we see what the deal is. We get that it's a multi-city issue. You know that it's being organized, paid for, funded, promoted. People are being bussed in.
Yep.
People in Atlanta were not from Atlanta.
They were being
And
bussed in.
they didn't even know where they were. Once they were done with their rioting and protesting, they didn't know where to go because they didn't know where they were. They didn't live here.
Mm.
And
Mm.
I'm sure that is the case everywhere. Why hasn't the government shut it down?
Well, apparently, Bill Barr, according to sources, have ordered the rounding up of Antifa leaders. So somebody's going to have to give up something because, you're going to have that pressure and the full scale and enforcement of the federal government behind you when you get swept up by the FBI. So we'll see what happens.
Well, let's see what happens today because last night, what's his name? Giuliani was on talking about, the upheaval that he had to deal with in New York. And during that time, there was a lot of racial tensions. There was a lot of drugs and a lot of crime in the city. And he clamped down. And he said, if people come across this bridge thinking that they're going to wreak havoc, we told them it wasn't happening. Anybody who steps foot through here is getting arrested. 700 people arrested. 700 people. How many people were arrested through any of these riots that were going on? Maybe
nobody.
People got zip tied. Maybe
Yeah.
people.
Not that many people.
If you
from
don't
what I can
have
tell.
if you don't act on the authority that you have in order to maintain civility in the streets and protect the citizens who have nothing to do, don't want anything to do with any of this, then you're nothing. You have no power, which is why we go back to the Second Amendment. If you can't protect me, I need to be able to protect me.
This is The Cure.